how much goes to the federal government. Gradually, we are going to see a shift over time. It's not going to be an immediate issue, but let us trust this process and see how it goes. There's going to be a shift because we have to unbundle the responsibilities that go to the government at the center. It is too much and it's making it ineffective. You need to send it to the state level and to the local government. That is what we need to see. Even at the state, too much responsibility at the state. We need to give more responsibility. But when you give them this responsibility, you have to give them monies so that they can meet up these responsibilities. But I think that's where we are going. Gradually, we are getting there. So we should trust this process and see what is going to happen.
Okay. Philip Buko, you love to bear your mind on this issue first, by way of opening remarks.
Well, we've traded blames so much with respect to.
Should we not trade the blames?
The blame game isn't going to help us.
Okay.
I think we need to get down to the trenches and do the right thing. Like my brother had rightly said, we're not really practicing true federalism. That's our challenge. What we have is some kind of modeled up federalism. And with that, we may not be able to experience the kind of development we should expect in this country. But like you had rightly said, I give kudos to Mr. President for taking the bulls by the horns, ensuring that at least local government administration in Nigeria is given its right of place. I think, again, too, we may also have to look at the sharing formula, okay, because the sharing formula also dictates where power gravitates to. When much is at the center, people tend to go to the center. Right now, people look at Abuja, as it were, as the immediate place where you go pick whatever you want, and that's really not the right thing. But I believe with the case now at the Supreme Court, we don't want to preempt what the Supreme Court will say, but I want to believe feelers I've gotten seems to point to the fact that it may turn out positive.
Let's leave the feelers. The feelers may just be speculation. No one can actually preempt the court.
Well, that's the truth. But then we can almost look at the crystal balls, as it were, and see, okay, what's the future?
How clear is your crystal ball?
So really, yes, we're just optimistic. Let's be optimistic, yes, that things will turn out well, and the local government councils will be given their rights of place, and all of that will bring development down to the grassroots. Because we have always said that if you want to get development to the grassroots, we have to target local government administration.
Mr. Tuekon, let's begin with being optimistic here. You know that the federal government always give allocations to both the state and also to the local government area. So what's your take on the share that is being allocated to the local government area?
I think, in fact,
is it enough to bring up development?
Yeah, as for now, I think it can do a lot, you see, because you have situations where some local governments are going on with, there are some local governments that are going with 400 million, a month. You see the point? And some there's no local government.
Not in Akwa Ibom State.
Not in Akwa Ibom State.
Okay.
But at least in Akwa Ibom State, you have local government that go on with 100 plus, even 150 million, I think. You see? So these monies are enough for them to start something. It is not enough to do everything that you expect. But you look at the responsibilities of local government. Take, for example, like maintaining the market. Take, for example, like primary health care. I think that money can go a long way in doing a lot. But over time we have been hearing the challenges. Like I said here last week, we had the current commissioner for local government and no, not local government, the current commissioner for youth and sport. When he was a local government chairman, he did a lot because everything was coming to that local government. You see the point? So the challenges we have is not that the monies are not enough, but across the country, I don't know any state that is left out where the monies of the local government are going to with that particular government.
I'm sorry to call you short, but let me just add there by allowing time to expatiate more.
Okay.
You mentioned the issue of restructuring, and in most civilized clime, you would see that much more funds are being taken down to the local government, to the grassroots, if actually we need real development.
Yeah.
So if much of these resources are gotten at each of the local governments. If you talk, if you want to mention the issue of where oil is drilled, it's at the local government level.
Certainly.
But yet you send a paltry sum to the local government, while the federal government gets humongous sum. So, are you actually not bearing false witness to your issue of restructuring?
Well, I think I said that we are just starting on some.
Okay,
let's
expunge your word gradually. Let's take a leap.
Okay. Well, if you want to look at the ideal scenario,
okay,
you know, in an ideal scenario, we are not supposed to have any system, any local government, state or at the federal level, where monies go to one place and the place then distribute. It happens in, there's no federation that happens. You see the point? You see, today in the world, the California, a state in America, is said to be the 6th largest economy in the world. You know, they generate the monies and they use it there. You have counties in America. I mentioned Dade County in, I think, Florida. It's richer than Nigeria. You see the point? Because they generate, he doesn't know which one to take. The man told him, forget about all the voices. Take the document we wrote, and implement it. You understand me? That is the challenges we are always having. But if you have a government that is serious about restructuring, they will take a step like Mr. President is doing. He's one of those who, in those days, when he was governor, even after he left government house, he was always talking about restructuring. You know, so in the ideal situation, in the true situation, not even the ideal situation, other federations, you generate your money. By right, money should be coming to oil producing local government like Ibn Eket, Oron, and all those ones, you know, and they will pay normal taxes to the federal level.
Okay,
you know,
just a moment, because I see OD itching to come up with a question. Let me just ask this, through this to Philip Oko before we move. Look at it. I don't know. If you Google through your phone, you would see 52%, 52.68% to the federal government, while 26.72% to the state. And we have just 20.60% to the local government. What's your opinion? You would love that to be tinkered, and if so, what percentage do you think should go to the local government?
Well, I'm not
putting you on the
yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
I know that you're not in the
revenue mobilization fiscal commission,
but you are in the local government.
Yes.
What percentage is ideal for your local government?
Well, if you ask me, I think the whole thing should be reversed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lesser monies should go to the center, and more should be allocated to the local government areas or local councils. Even
against the state, the local government should get.
The state. The question is really, you know, the state itself is a conglomeration of all the local government areas or councils. Now, if you take it down to the local government councils, you are invariably, you know, bettering the lot of the state. Because much money being at the center is always a problem. Even in the state center, at the state center, you know, makes a lot of development not forthcoming. If you go to some of our interior or hinterlands, you'll be amazed that we boast so much of money in the Akwa Ibom state, but we don't seem to see development. But I thank God for the new leadership. I mean, the leadership of His Excellency Pastor Moino, who is doing his bit to make sure that this thing trickles down to you know, the grassroots. But the reality is that there should be some reversal or revisiting this allocation formula. It should be revisited, okay? At least getting more monies to local government councils rather than keeping them at the center.
Philip Buko, let me ask you this, because we know that the local government didn't just start today, and the money allocating to them. The question that the citizens are asking is that what tangible development have they brought to bear when this money, you know, have been allocated to them? Even though it is little, let us see little development in the local government, because you know, there's a popular saying that no local government works for the people. The people are left to fend for themselves. They provide electricity, they provide, you know, basic healthcare, they provide water for themselves. So what tangible development, you know, have been seen over the years?
Well, to answer that question, first and foremost, I'd like us to understand the allocation. Some of the allocation is usually in paper, but not in real practice.
And nobody knows that.
Well, that's the problem. Most people are oblivious of that fact. You could have this thing published. Usually it's published. This is what goes to this government area. But the question, in reality, how much really gets into the pockets or to the coffers of the local government council? And with that, you know, sometimes you hold your chairman or your local government executive to ransom and say, oh, so money has been allocated to, why are we not seeing them? And they will tell you it's all in the consolidated revenue, or kind of yes. So, reality is this. Once we are, like my brother already said, once we exercise political will enough to make sure that these things get exactly to the local councils, we will see the changes we need. We'll see the developments we desire.
All right, Otoriko, I'll come to you directly. Section 162, sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution, if I may, says the Federation account, the Federation shall maintain a special account to be called the Federation account. Okay. All right, I beg your pardon, but let me get to, I have missed that section. Let me get to the point. The issue of joint account between the federal government, between the state government and the local government. I'll ask you pointedly, do you subscribe to opinions of most persons that the burden of development at the local government level is as a result of the joint account?
Yeah, certainly. And that is one of the things in court now, that this money should go directly to the local government who own that money, not to pass through anybody. The state government is not supposed to be a supervisory agency on how local government should spend. I mean, if they do anything wrong, then they should be taken to court. The idea of this money, because this is the challenge we are having today. We are looking at across the country, not just one state. I don't think there is any state where this. We had some time in I think when El-Rufai was the governor of Kaduna State. We heard that, I don't know how far, how long it went, but we heard at a time that money was going to he was giving the money. But we can't depend on the goodwill of any particular person, because people change, So the best thing to do is let the law be straight. Money that come in should go to those places, and let us see if local government, if they cannot use this money, if they are all madmen.
Are you saying the law is not strict?
No, that law is not straight. We keep on talking about the structure.
How crude is the law?
It's very, very crude. In fact, we practice a federation that is very crude. We say there are about 197 federations across the world. Nigeria is the only one that practices this type of. Even in unitary states like Great Britain.
Is it not African democracy?
No, not.
Homegrown democracy.
Yes, homegrown democracy.
No, it's not. We are not even practicing homegrown democracy. We are borrowing exactly what the American system is: federal, state, and local government. That's what America has, and yet we have our own. Introduction. Some things we put into it which are not proper, which are just a product of self-centeredness. Like every money should go a federal state. If our police, all money should go to one center and it is distributed. It is very wrong. In not too distant a past, it wasn't like this. We had a situation in the First Republic where you had so much development in certain parts of this country, like in the Southwest. You see, you go there and see them producing professors, education. In education, they were the best in this country. And why was that? Because they were developing at that pace, allowing them to use their own resources. They didn't use oil. You were using cocoa, because everybody was not expecting money to come from the center. We have too many local government at the present moment, simply because at the time, if you look at what used to happen in the 60s, we had more local government in the south than in the north. But the moment money started coming from the center to everywhere, all of a sudden, more local governments appeared in the north than what you have in the south. And these are just some of those challenges. If you allow these states to develop at their own pace by using their own resources, most of these local governments will disappear over time. So we are not doing what is right. So we need to start now, like you're seeing Mr. President do. If we are going to start a restructuring by default, it is okay. Let us start by putting the local government correct. By the time we finish with the local government, we will now see some other place where there's something wrong. And maybe the next president will say, look, these things we are doing is not good, like police. We need to send police to the center. We need to unbundle the structure at the center. It is too big for any man sitting at the center to run. So you need to unbundle these things, send these responsibilities to this. You want to open an airport, you have to go and get a license. You are encouraging corruption. You want to open a port, you have to go to the center before they will give you how many? Is it 21 steps for you to take approval at every step? At the end of the day, look at it, we are still struggling. If it was simply left to Akwa Ibom State, to develop the airport, the deep sea port would have been developed. Yeah, would have been said. But
But
we have to go to the center, and you can't tell me that every step you pass through, corruption is not at those steps. It is there.
So since you've brought up the issue of corruption here, you know that local government corruption globally is not something that is just unique to Nigeria. So how did it start? And do you think that if this is implemented, if the local governments, you know, the allocation gets to them directly, that they will use it for the benefit of the people? Because, you know, what we see in Nigeria is that when a certain governor, you know, leaves office, the EFCC pursues them, and then people think that this is a system where, you know, the governed, you know, steals from the governed.
Yes. You see, the thing you have to understand is that we need to fight corruption holistically from the center. We need to fight it. You cannot concentrate on fighting corruption. Let me tell you, I was in my local government during this clan council meeting, you know, where all villages and the paramount rulers come.
So also
yeah, I normally go. I go there though for some time now. I've not been going, but I will go to hear what is happening.
Are
in
you
that
in the
place.
position of village?
No, I'm not. So do you know? A conversation came up about malpractice in exam malpractices, and a principal stood up and said, as long as you have election malpractice, exam malpractice will continue. You see the point? So if you have corruption at the center, how do you expect corruption to end at the periphery? It's not going to end. In fact, a lot of structures, when you see any structure at the periphery, it is weaker than the center. So if you have corruption at the center, expect that you have more corruption at the periphery. So if you want to stop corruption at the local government level, you have to start it at the center. Fight corruption there, and then that battle will get to that.
Let me give the mic to Philip Uko this time around. Okay. And I'll just ask you this before we move to the timetable we have and focus on local government elections in Akwa Ibom State. Otueko, the federal government, the state government, and the local government itself. Who is the problem, or which is the problem of the local government?
Well, it's difficult to really apportion the blame.
I knew it was going to be difficult. That's why I threw it to you. You want to use religious perspective or legal perspective,
whichever was moral perspective as well.
It's in your hands.
Like my brother rightly said, I love his position on certain issues. You know, everything begins from the center. Okay, whether it's good, whether it's bad. So I want to believe that the problem in Nigeria begins right at the center, at the federal level. Once the federal level, federal government rather, puts things right, it will trickle down to virtually all the various other units, the state and the local government council. You know what my people say, it's a common adage that the fish gets rotten from the head. Yeah. Once the head is sound, the body will be sound. So once the federal government, like Mr. President,
all kinds of fish.
Well, which almost all kinds. Yeah, no, it's
you deal with fish. You see all kinds of fish.
All kinds of fish.
That's okay.
Yeah. So reality is this: if we have to address our problem, which is principally corruption, we have good ideas. We have people who are sound. You know, academically sound in Nigeria. We have one of the best technocrats in the world. But our problem is that we have good ideas, but execution is always the problem.
Are they fine in theory or in practice?
Well, they are fine, both sides, theoretically and practically. But the problem is actually bringing to bear what they know, so that we have good blueprints. I mean, very good blueprints from manifestos and everything. But implementation has always been our challenge, because persons are not really given to. In fact, like I told somebody the other day, the centripetal force seems to be, weaker. Or is it stronger than the centrifugal? Okay. Now the force of unity binding us together as a nation is very weak. Almost like everyone is to himself and God is for all. Okay. So, but that is the problem of Nigeria today. If we begin to see Nigeria as a project, we all have a stake in. Okay, and we ought to contribute. I'm sure things will change. Right now, everyone is thinking about himself, his family. In fact, what I call the evil trinity: I, me, myself. You know, when all you think is all about you and your immediate family, the structure I can't hold, and that's the way the problem really lies. I love what John F. Kennedy said to America when he took over the reins of leadership as a president. He said, "Don't think of what America can do for you, but think of what you can do for America." average Nigeria should start thinking, what can I do to better the lot of Nigeria?
Let me just ask you this. You think that the local government, the personnel at the local government would be able to have the capacity to manage the funds allocated to them if so much is pushed down to the local government system? You think they have that capacity?
Yes, they do. But
you really nod your head in affirmation to that?
Yes. First and foremost, I think also there should be room for training, okay, and retraining.
You train at the point where you've already occupied the office.
Well, there's room for
we should alter our recruitment process.
Well, probably that also could also come in.
It's not my position. It's a question.
No, but you've answered the question yourself.
It's just to show you that I've not answered that question. I take it to Twecom. You want to take a bite on our recruitment process?
I think political parties play a very serious role. I mean, they know they have been able to identify these challenges. What do you do when you look at things like this? I've seen in nations around the world where you have leadership training for upcoming leaders in your thing, giving them proper responsibilities. You see, the challenges we see in our politics is always very funny. You see, the person who is going to occupy an office tomorrow is the one washing the car of one honorable or arranging a scholar.
But even after their elections,
they were not even.
They are training and retraining for them.
No. That time is a little late.
Okay,
it's a little late. You train them when you see.
Yes. We are sorry to cut you short. We are quite sorry. But I ask you this question: is it about the political party, or it is about the constitution that allows just SSCE, Senior Secondary Certificate Examination results to be used even for positions of the president? Is it about the political party or about the constitution? Because after all, in this state, in Akwa Ibom State, we had a chairman of a political party who said that, look, you must have first degree,
certainly, to be a
councillor, and more so that you must write aptitude tests.
Yes.
To be a councillor. So if a political party can do that, or if a political party did that, and a condition says the minimum is your SSCE, where do we push the blame to? Is it political parties or the constitution?
We see, we push it to the political parties because who influences these laws? They are politicians. Who are in the National Assembly? They are politicians. So it is the quality of persons you send to the center that determines what you get. This is the challenges we are having. You know, you cannot have how would I say, a wall cannot be stronger than the people who defend it. This is the challenge we are having. So you need to send quality men to that position to be able to get this. So political parties need to start doing leadership training. These are the people who are going to handle both the local government, state, and the federal level. Send them, do some quality training, regular training for them. You know, you see a young man, how did somebody like Obama come into politics? Some two young men saw him and saw that, look, this man has got talent for politics. They started developing him. You know, he worked, he's a Harvard-trained lawyer. He would have become a millionaire in 6 months. But instead of going to a law firm, what did Obama do? He went to work for a civil society organization. How many people are going to go into offices tomorrow? No 1 or 2 civil society organizations. How many of them are even partnering with them? You're not in office yet.
How is that going to help them?
Oh, it helps them because you're dealing with people. He worked for a civil society organization, that's Obama, that works in inner city Chicago. Understanding, the first time I ever heard of town hall meeting, it was through Obama. Exactly, you cannot go and lead the people you don't know their problems.
So you don't have town hall meetings in your village?
No, yes, that is why you see sometimes I used to go to clan council meeting to hear what is coming out from the communities. You understand? There is no politician, every politician, by right, the political party should tell politicians, make sure that at least in a year, you go to your clan council meeting in your local government or whether the Paramount Rulers Palace, at least 3 or 4 times in a year. Go and hear what is going on so that you can understand tomorrow you're going to be in office. You know the problems of the people. How many politicians know? Many of them don't know.
All right, Odina, let's move to the timetable we have here with us. And in the timetable, gentlemen, I take you to the timetable. I don't know if we have the timetable there. Director, if you have the timetable for local government elections that is coming up on the 26th day of October, please take us down there. But with me here, I can guide us. Item number, that's conduct of parties, primaries by political parties, and observance of same by the Commission. That is taking place on Monday, the 22nd day of July, and that will end on Monday, the 26th day of August. That is for primaries. Gentlemen, let's talk about the primaries for the forthcoming elections. Well, where do I begin? I allow the floor open. Okay. Yes. Philip, you want to begin?
That's okay. The primaries, of course, is usually the starting points in every electioneering process. The various political parties will conduct their primaries, okay, and candidates will emerge. One of my greatest concerns is entrenching internal democracy, even within the party itself. That persons emerging will be as a result of overwhelming majority support and not just people handpicked. I wanted to say something in the course of our previous discussion that one of the challenges we have in this country is that we keep talking about election, but sometimes what we end up having is selection. I recall when I showed interest in becoming a councillor.
Oh, really? You did?
Yes, I did.
So you had once been a politician.
Well, everyone is a political animal, you know, but at different levels anyway. So I indicated interest, and I was amazed when the person who then was our political leader for Ikono local government area, he said to me, there's not going to be any election. There's always election. And whoever he decides to rule will be the person who will rule. And that's where the problem really is. This godfatherism in politics. You know, people just being picked. And sometimes you have stooges being picked. People who don't even know nothing or know next to nothing.
You really want to use that word?
Well, I'm sorry to say,
but
let's be honest.
Know your choice.
Well, that's the truth of the matter. You know, sometimes people are just being picked like that and assigned different roles. In fact, when eventually it turned out there were a lot of vested interests in that office, someone came and I think that was our what they call it, not chapter chairman, as at then, told me, come, why not go for this other office? I said, sorry, I won't. I mean, it must be something everyone must unanimously either agree. You don't just pick me up and say, okay, you go for that and bring this amount of money and all of that. So the day we expunge money politics from our political system, okay, and let things be done right. Persons are elected as and when due. People are seen to be, capable of handling a particular office. I think that will really bring about the much needed change. Because like you rightly said, if anyone just comes up, my brother said something about maybe the washerman of the chairman being given compensated with an office. Now all of that, really, if you look at it, that's where the problem really begins.
You're taking me just so that I allow Odi to ask her question. Okay. Let me come to you, Otweko. In Akwa Ibom State, I think if I'm not mistaken, but I'll use approximate. We've had about 7 local government elections beginning from 1999, so to speak, until 2020. About that 2020, that's when the last elections were conducted. These ones just finished their tenure. And now, over time, we've seen about 2 major political parties. Before now, we had we have a constant, that's the People's Democratic Party. Immediately after that local government elections, we had some political parties, like in local government, like in we had a political party different from PDP. In Itu, we had a different political party, different from PDP that held sway, and we had them occupy executive position of the chairman. But my question I want to ask you is that we've never really seen, after the primaries, political parties like People's Democratic Party or All Progressive Congress, you mentioned them, contesting the result of the primaries in court. So wouldn't you think that the conduct of primaries during and for local government elections has been fairly fair as far as the state is concerned?
Well, you cannot put away the bandwagon effect, in politics. Whenever a particular, especially in Nigeria, some party wins at a certain level, it will certainly influence others at another level. But again, like my brother was talking about selection, we have that challenge across Nigeria.
Nobody has ever challenged you.
Well, certainly, we have some states where some parties will say, we are not even going to contest that election. Most times, other parties don't even contest across the state because they have this feeling that the right things are not being done. You see the point? That is the challenges we are having. And that is why some people have called for INEC to be the ones conducting, even though INEC is not clothing itself in glory in Nigeria, but that they should be the ones to handle local government elections.
Then you come again to
yeah, to be the ones, because when they do that, because it is always strange, even in states where you see there's a change.
INEC against the state
yes,
electoral body.
Yeah.
Many have posited the position that if we have INEC conduct local government elections, that there is that possibility you have one Haja or Alaji stay far in the north and influence whoever becomes the chairman in my local government or in your local government.
Yes, it is
possibly you can as well see one Obong stay in Akwa Ibom State to influence to become the local government chairman in Kano State.
Certainly.
So why don't we, if you talk about restructuring, why don't you allow the state governments to conduct elections for local government?
You know, globally, in any federation, even in places like Britain that practice a different form of government than a federation, you see even presidential elections in America are not conducted. They don't have a central electoral body in America. They don't have it. What they have, states have it, cities have their own, and they have different procedures which are accepted generally. You see, but we are just starting on a process, and we are now testing the waters to see which one is going to work for us. And we pray that as we go on forward, we are going to hit on something that is going to be beneficial for the people. But we should not stop experimenting on something. That is the challenge we are having for now.
I'm scared of this experiment. Yes. But
you know, the governor has assured the elected. Let's shift from the primaries now to the campaigns, because we know that from August, campaigns will start, and then we would see the crop of people, who are vying for these offices. So over time we see in Nigeria that campaign is not a place where you talk about your campaigns. It's where you go to ridicule another person. So would we see that kind of attitude or method of campaign repeat itself again?
Well, it's the nature of Nigeria. Politics is a process. I keep on saying it's a process. It is not an event. Over time, as a governor, take for example, now, and I don't think you're going to see that kind of insult or blackmail under His Excellency's rule. You're bound to see something far more different, because he may frown. So is
it about the governor?
Yeah, certainly. A lot of John Maxwell said one thing. He said everything rises and falls on the leaders. It is the man at the top. This body language can tell you, look, I'm going to do this or I won't do that. That is the challenge we are having now. So if you have a governor that may frown at certain things, it may not happen. A governor who may not be encouraging blackmail, a governor may not be encouraging hatred against his own opponent or something like that. So things will work a lot differently. So I do look at this local government election that is going to be. You saw what happened when Obon Victor Ota was here. You saw what happened with Otuita Toyo when he was the chairman of the party. How he even became the chairman of the party. He may not have been the favorite candidate of his very good way. To see something is going to be built on this thing. So let me tell you one thing. This new local government election may likely produce better men at the council level than we have had previously.
Ochoko, we'll come back to you. Philip, we'll talk more about the quality of campaign we're expecting in this forthcoming local government elections. But let me take us quickly to they've closed it and you can't get the form. Another is that many have also mentioned the issue of humongous sum for the purchase of the form. Is this another I should be careful of my choice of word. Let me rather say, is this another challenge that we face as far as local government growth and development is concerned? The purchase of forms, the date, space of time, the issue of sum. We have the last administration or the last local government elections, some persons cry and say the form is so much. So let's go back to talk about the political parties
Okay.
and the sum for the forms.
Well, if you ask me, it's to narrow the interest level.
So
Well,
political parties can fix form for 1 million or 2 million or 3 million.
well, that will be very ridiculously high. I mean,
It's
if
to
you ask-
it's to narrow the participation. You just said so.
Yeah, I said so, but at the same time, there should be some level of balance. You know? Okay, there should be some level of balance. I mean, it shouldn't be too high, considering again the poverty indices of the people. Okay.
Why should they poverty? I'm sorry.
Well, because anyone has access.
I read Mastering English, that textbook, that book. In one of the pages, I've forgotten, they said as expensive as in.
Have the resources. So that means you're including some set of people from accessing government. You know, like I said, and I still maintain that I think it should be tinkered with the amount. And again, the number of days also should be a little elongated, okay, to accommodate more persons, because there are people who may not be able to get that money within that space of time. So in other words, they are totally.
But sufficient time has been given since was it last month down to September.
No, but you're just saying purchases.
No. I mean, everyone has been put on notice. The elections is coming.
Okay.
So why not get prepared?
Okay.
This was published when you're taking me.
5th of June.
This was published on the 4th, dated. I have seen Elder Anyedi Ikowak, Chairman and Chief Electoral Commissioner.
Okay.
He signed this and dated same 4th of June 2024. And if that was done on the 4th of June, and now purchase of forms is going to be sometimes in August. So
you see, the worrisome thing about this figures and everything we're looking at now is that we end up having some political patronage. You know, some big wigs, the elites rather, would have a way of muzzling up the system, because he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Yes. If I am the one coughing out such an amount of money for you to run an election, the tendency is that I will be the one dictating to you. It will be like a puppet show.
Let them dictate the tune, but you change the dance state. Let's change the dance state.
Like what is happening in Rivers State.
There you go.
Said, I bought the phone for all of them. So,
And Fubara has changed the dance step.
Yes,
He bought he pays the piper, detects the tune.
Yes.
But Fubara says, I'm not going to dance to this tune.
Not everybody.
Easy. That's a problem.
It's not having it very easy.
Exactly.
People have
In
died.
fact, can you imagine? It's not just dying. Number
the-
of days. I mean, months down running, and not much meaningful development is going on.
Going on
because
The
of
state of
let
emergency,
me just come into that thing. I think it is very, very wrong. It's not very good for our democracy if we should allow as many persons as possible, to come in, get the forms at a cheaper price, so that we can see how there will be a selection process. We shouldn't allow money to select the people who are going to rule us. We should allow the people to select the people who are going to represent us. If it is 1 million people in a local government who are buying forms, the parties have selection processes.
Oh dear.
So
Like how we can't exhaust this today. It's impossible to. Maybe we'll give you a break, and we'll invite you again.
Yes.
Elections is down the year, so we just need to talk about it. Okay. Summarizing your thoughts as we round off. Let me get to you and ask you. We're talking about purchase of forms. Otweku is out for elections, presumably. So, what amount do you think?
I think 50,000.
That you have.
No. It's not even whether I have.
No. I mean, what amount? If presumably you want to contest for elections, I know you are not contesting.
Okay.
I know you're not.
I'm not.
Yes. Presumably you were to contest for elections.
Yes.
For councillorship or for chairman. What amount do you think?
I think for councillorship it should be 50,000. For chairmanship it should be 100 or 150 maximum. Why? So that as many people as possible should come in, so that we
papers are printed.
Yeah, it doesn't mean 50,000 for one form. It's okay. So you now do that and allow the parties to select the right person, not to carry and put 2 million and so many people will not get it. And one big wig, one father in the area will now take his money and buy.
Let me allow because maybe this came from me. Answer how much he would want to.
So how much do you think should be the price?
Well, in view of our economic situation, and of course...
that doesn't touch Akisi?
Well, it touches virtually the entire populace. I subscribe to what my brother has said. 50,000 is ideal.
Without any addition or something?
No. I think 50,000 is ideal. And then 100,000, and perhaps, like you said, ceiling limit of 150 for chairmanship aspirants. That should be fair enough. You could now have more persons, get engaged in this.
Gentlemen, these people have killed us. Local government election is coming forth as the governor had he declared that he's going to conduct local government elections against other governors who wait to be forced to do that. But His Excellency Pastor Umar Basino clearly says he's going to conduct elections, and immediately Akise came up to fix a date for that election. We will keep you tabs as event unfolds, and we will keep on discussing on the local government elections and how we can shape the thoughts and actions of people from here so that everyone would participate effectively on these forthcoming elections, so that we can have leaders, and good leaders at that, who will lead us and bring development to the grassroots. All hands must be on deck. And like my friend has always said, not all bad hands. Not every hand. It must be all good hands. Must be on deck. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll just give you a break.
Okay.
When you'll come, I will invite you again to discuss on local government elections that is coming forth in Akwa Ibom State. Let's do this again next week. My name is Basi. And
I am Odinaka Chuku Ihianacho.
have a short weekend.